Canada has a risk-adverse culture. It's
Yes.
ingrained in Canada. We're nice people, don't get me wrong, but we don't like to take risks, and that's embedded into our systems of society. And what ends up happening is when you look at having a business, you're like, oh, that's risky. I'm not gonna be able to pay bills. I'm not gonna be able to do these things. It's gonna be, a failure, et cetera, et cetera. That's a huge problem. That's number one, is the risk-adverse culture needs to change. So you need people that can inspire the change by basically executing and showing that it's possible to create something meaningful and do it in the authentic way of that individual. Like, hopefully Midday Squares will have shown that to Canada, that you can win by.
Welcome to the Purpose Power Brand Show, where we have conversations with leaders and brands transforming business into a force for good. I'm Amanda Stassen, business and brand strategist, entrepreneur, and founder of Bizu Innovation Group. I'm speaking with business leaders and entrepreneurial visionaries who are proving that not only does purpose drive profit, but the future of our world depends on it. Guys, I am so excited. Today's Purpose Power Brand episode is all about making it rain. Now, who as an entrepreneur wouldn't want to make it rain in their business, whether it's relationships or sales or awareness? Seriously, what does it take to build a business that draws people to your vision and makes them want to be a part of it? And what does authenticity really mean in business? We've got a lot of talk about what authenticity is, but what is it really? How does it feel? What does it look like? We're going to learn all about that and more in today's episode. My guest today is Jake Karls. He is the co-founder and rainmaker at Midday Squares, a functional chocolate that's everything a chocolate bar isn't and everything a protein bar wishes it was. We're going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly about entrepreneurship today. So let's dive in. Hey, Jake, thank you so much for joining me today on the Purpose Power Brand Show. I am super stoked to be talking with you today. I totally love your energy. I love the passion that you bring to your work every day. It's totally fantastic. So thank you for joining.
Oh, I'm fired up to be here. I'm on a fast right now, which is what we were kind of discussing before. So
Yeah.
I haven't eaten in quite a while, so I'm just doing liquids right now. But I'm super fired up, and I always say, if I can't perform while being fasting, then what is my body actually like? Because people survived for many years during hard moments.
Yeah.
So I should be able to do, like, that's what my mind's telling me right now. I should be
Yeah.
able to give it my all and have fun while doing it. So I'm pumped to be here. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. And I love that you're into the whole biohacking thing, because I think our bodies were definitely created on purpose, which kind of brings me into the first question that I want to ask you before we actually dive into the business of Midday Squares, because I love getting to know the humans behind the brand. I do believe that we're all created on purpose, for a purpose. And one of my favorite quotes about this is actually Picasso. He said, the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. So to bring expression to that gift, to share it with the world. So share with me your personal purpose and how that powers the work that you're doing at Midday Squares.
So I love that. I've struggled ups and downs throughout the last decade of entrepreneurship that I've had, finding my purpose. And I figured out like areas of where the purpose thrives, but I haven't nailed it 100%. But the most accurate I can give you at the current moment is I truly believe I'm working towards my purpose being to spread positive vibes every single day,
Hmm.
to make humans feel something deeply inside when I'm with them or when they're watching me. And then third, to show that you can win by being yourself unapologetically every single day. And that's how we're building Midday Squares, is my
Hmm.
partners and I are being unapologetically ourselves and trusting ourselves and showing that you can build hopefully a huge organization in a very saturated space by literally following your own path and being yourself. And I really think that if I do my mission and live it throughout the next couple of years and continuously live it, I think that I will have inspired, hopefully, the next generation or the older generation above me to be themselves a little bit more every day, or be a little bit more bold every day. And that will be winning to me.
I love that. And I love hearing that, particularly in the business realm, where a lot of people feel like, they have to put out a persona, if you will. We talk a lot about personas in branding, which, in a world where AI is becoming like the go-to for pretty much everything, it kind of brings forward this sense of, well, what's real? Is this the real person that's talking to me? And how do you share that realness with people? I love that.
Yeah, and I think that I'm all for AI, like as a business leader, and I think it's the next evolution for, optimizing and making things easier or doing things that you're not really good at and improving on those using machine learning and all that jazz. But one thing I could tell you is I am 100% for the continuation of humanization in
Mm,
terms of interaction, in terms of care, love. These things are extremely important for life to go forward. They're also extremely important to how you run a business, how you communicate with your customers, how you build fans, like to call it fans, and how you have your relationships with your life, whether it's family, your partner, your business partners, your friends. Humanization, care, and love is at the core of human nature. And
yeah,
if you're not going to offer that, humans are going to distance themselves from you, or relationships will start to
totally.
distance. And again, it all comes back to just being authentic. If you are
Mm.
authentic to yourself, people are either going to love or hate you, but both those emotions are tremendous amounts of care and emotion.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you say that, because fundamentally business is about people. I know we call it business, and at the end of the day, you are interacting with another human being. It's going to come down to somebody that you're speaking to, somebody that you're talking to, somebody that you're sharing stories with of what's working in their life and what isn't. And hopefully your product solves a problem. It meets a need in their life. So I think you hit it squarely on the head. It is about people. It is about building relationships. So I just love that. Now, you're one of the co-founders at Midday Squares, but your role is described as rainmaker. And I feel like I just got to pause here, because I've only ever heard the term in, a legal practice, or maybe investment banking, maybe management consulting a little bit. But for those of us who may not know the exact definition of it, yeah, I looked it up, and it's basically a person who brings clients money, business, and even intangible prestige to an organization based on their associations or contacts. And like I said, I've only ever heard it in your sort of the banking or legal space. What's your take on the role, and why is it so critical for entrepreneurs and even business as a whole?
Yeah, rainmaking, is something extremely important, whether it's legal, whether it's plumbing, whether it's investment banking, whether it's a chocolate enterprise. And I'll say that my role day to day is simply to make friends for Midday Square. So first, I'll make
Mm,
friends for myself that are
yeah,
true, genuine friendships, and then bring those hopefully to the business later on. Or if they don't go either way, I'm still a friend with that individual or that
right.
organization. So my job 24/7 is focused on how do I make more friends? How do I build deeper relationships? And I get to do this without having to operate the business. So I'm so independent of
Mm,
operations that I could focus 100% of my time, well, let's say 90% of my time,
right.
on building these relationships, whether that be through online content creation, through speaking gigs, TV appearances, or showing up and having one-on-one meetings, going out, having fun, taking vacations with people, doing things where I'm actually building something that's of depth and not
Yeah.
just level. A lot of business relationships are transactional and surface level. I'm focused
Yes.
taking that transaction out and focusing on how can I get something deeper with you that's actually emotionally connected and more tangible or intangible, prestigiously intangible.
Mm,
But for me, that's my focus day to day. And what ends up happening is my team will ask me to make friends with different types of people and folks and then
right.
bring the organization. And that's how I add value to the organization. But I also add value to bringing the energy. I'm the company cheerleader. I am the hype person. I am the person that brings that heart and soul into the organization from the outside because I'm so outside of the business, right?
That's so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
That,
found that, and again, it lets me live into my purpose, which is making people feel something deeply inside
yeah.
and good vibes. So I do
Yeah.
20, or I try
Yeah.
to.
I love when you describe it the way that you do, which is actually really, really interesting. It has this sort of combination effect between marketing and sales. It's not purely sales in the true sense, sort of. It's what I think salespeople would love to do, be freed from the operational stuff and just focus on the people. And it's not all the way marketing, but it has those elements of it. But why do you think a lot of businesses don't have this kind of role?
I think that the problem with this role is people look at it as a short-term ROI. Like, oh,
Mm,
he or she's traveling the world and meeting people, spending, like last year, $60,000 of travel. It's expense, $60 or $70,000. It's a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
But the way my company's structured is that, look, these relationships are going to come over time. It could be 5 years from now, it could be next tomorrow, it could be in 10 years. And
Mm-hmm.
this relationship pay an immense amount of value to the business. So whether it's a new retailer that we get into, whether it's a investor we get an investment, whether it's a media article that ends up helping us get into another thing, or it's a new team member that's hired in our executive team, this is how you have to look at it. It's a long game,
Mm,
not to have ROIs on it. And I always give an example. When we were desperate need for capital, 2 years ago, we pulled out of a deal last minute, and we had 2 weeks to raise money. And because I had all these friends, I was able to call up all these individuals, and within a week, I had $10 million lined up, like
wow.
snap your finger. But that's because the trust and the relationship and friendship was built over 2.5 years span prior to that. And again, that's the rainmaker. So the rainmaker needs
Mm,
to completely operate independently and not have these ROI markers necessarily based to just revenue or dollar value. Instead, needs to be free to execute. And look, like I said, there's two sides to that. If you're not bringing in any relationships, then yes, after like years, this is just an expense. It's a very high expense. It's a salary.
right.
It's expenses. It's a lot. But that's where you have to find the right person for the right job, right? I
Yeah.
founded the company immense amount of passion for the business to succeed at the highest level possible. So I'm
Yeah.
going to give it all no matter what. But look, it took me years to figure out this role and years to figure out how to play it. And again, trust. My partners trust me to do what I need to do, whether that be going to hockey games or concerts or things. I'm always in an environment where I'm thinking about how can I bring this relationship to Midday Squares down the line? If not, how does this relationship benefit my life, or how can I add
Mm,
to this person's this life as well? And look, a lot of people fail at this role because it's too ROI driven and
yeah.
it's too transaction.
Yeah. Very, very short term thinking happening in business today. Although I am finding that businesses that focus on their purpose or their mission have a more longer term view.
Oh,
So I'm excited that more roles will be opening up like this that are built around building relationships and making noise. It's that happy marriage between marketing and sales, and bringing that to life. But this inherent in this whole building relationships, making noise, there's something about midday squares. I've heard you guys describe it as building a business out loud. And it's all about this sharing the good, the bad, the ugly. It's part of how you guys have built huge community of customers, followers, fans. I'd love for you to expand on this idea of building a business out loud, because it goes against what a lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders do, which is they keep things secret until they're launched. They share only successes, and maybe not the fit. They don't share the nitty gritty. Why does this work? And tell me how you guys do it.
it only works when it's authentic to the
Mm,
business or to the individuals in the business. And what I mean by that is you could share a story, a great story, and it could be cool one time, two times, three times, four times. Customer bases, you get some community, but eventually the inauthenticity will catch up and it will
mm,
be exhausting, tiring, and you're not going to want to do it, and then it will collapse. For Midday Squares, our day one was if we wanted to win in a very saturated market of chocolate,
yeah,
where there's 40,000 products on a typical supermarket shelf, it's
yeah,
dominated by big businesses in terms of all the chocolate snacking. We're going to need to hit an emotional connection with the consumer. Instead of being a commodity, let's make people feel something deeply.
yeah,
Let's make them feel part of the journey. And the only way that we were able to do that was by telling the story of both success and failure. And why I say success and failure is because it's relatable. When you see
yeah,
someone winning, you could either cheer them on and be part of it and be proud and excited. And when you see someone losing,
yeah.
you either feel them, or this is so real, or it's so different that you want to support them. You want them to win. You want to help. So we
Mm,
basically this moment where it's instead of talking about the chocolate bar in our marketing, we only do that 10% of the time, maybe 12% of the time. we're focused on showing you the behind the scenes. That way you could feel part of the actual journey with us,
Yeah.
the emotional feelings of the ups and downs, which is just real life.
Yeah.
We all go through ups and downs. And when you have that authenticity throughout the marketing and the storytelling, people start to want to be around it. They want to be
Yeah.
part of it. It attracts that energy. And eventually it builds someone that is a friend of yours or a family member or a neighbor, that feeling of community, rather than, hey, I'm buying this product because it's a chocolate bar and I like the chocolate bar. No, you're now buying the product because you like chocolate, obviously, and you like the chocolate bar. But on top of that, you feel part of the journey. You feel emotionally connected to the journey and you feel closer to it. And you will
Mm.
not just go buy the product, but you will go sell it to thousands of other people. You will go help this company win at all costs possible because you are part of it.
I I love that. That is truly how to build a brand. How do you, because a brand is all about igniting and inciting emotion in people so that they choose you, but they don't just choose you, they want to be a part of what you are envisioning, what your mission is. So, people hearing this entrepreneurs are probably thinking, that's easy for you to say. Maybe you're an extrovert. Maybe this comes easy to you and you can do that whole building out loud thing. But what about entrepreneurs who haven't done this before? What would be some baby steps that you would recommend to entrepreneurs that they can start in the whole building out loud space?
So my partners are introverts. And
Oh, okay.
they're out there like
You
crazy now.
wouldn't believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, the truth is you don't have to be an extrovert or an introvert to put your story out there. Your story is
Nice.
what makes you unique. You have two things about you that's
Nice.
unique. The DNA that's different than everybody else in the world, and then you have the experiences and stories that you have of your life. And if you don't share them, then how are you setting yourself apart? We could all wear the same glasses, the same hat, the same t-shirt, make the same products. The only thing that separates us is the DNA and the storytelling that we have and the experience
Yeah.
of our story. Because
Yeah.
that's the best thing about you, other than your DNA that's different, right? So
Yeah.
for me, I would say to any entrepreneur that's scared or doesn't do it, it's just to start small. Start by creating little momentum. When you create little momentum, eventually that compounds into great momentum, and that great momentum is one of the most powerful human forces in the world. And
Mm,
I would say just start by sharing your story. You have nothing to lose. It's what makes you different. It's what makes you
mm.
great, and you should be proud to share it. If you are a kind person and you have been through a lot of cool things in your life, start sharing it. Somebody else is going to relate to that story. Someone else is going to want to hear more about it.
Yeah.
You live your story 24/7, so you don't find it interesting. The other
Mm,
person next to you does not live your story 24/7, so they might find it interesting. So the only thing you have to lose by sharing your story is someone saying, "Oh, I don't want to be part of this story anymore. I don't want to hear this story anymore, so I don't want to see this person." So what? That
right.
person's never going to be there with you anyways.
Right.
So,
Right.
so to start, just start little things. It doesn't have to be so risky.
Yeah.
Start smaller little things and get bolder each time. And then eventually you're going to feel so free when you share a story because your story is going to be out there.
Mm,
And people are going to love it. Trust me, people are going to get behind you. People get behind the underdog. They want to be part of that. They want you to win.
yeah.
So start by just doing little steps every day, little stories. But again, believe your stories are unique. Believe your stories are what makes you great. And once you believe that, it's not going to be so hard.
Mm. Oh my gosh. We could do like a whole course on this. It's fabulous. This is exactly what we do with our clients as well. It's how do you unlock the power of your story? How do you become the most authentic you? I love it. Okay, let's get into the business now of Midday Squares. The business started in 2017. Walk me through the origin story. You guys went from, I think it was your sister who created the recipe in a condo kitchen. It's becoming urban legend now, and now owning your own manufacturing plant, and you're making over 90,000 bars a day. That's like huge. It's huge. But how did it start? How did you get your first, call it 5, 10 customers? And then how did you grow your customers from there?
I love it. I love it. So yeah, the Midday Square story is fascinating. So my sister was making a version of what Midday Squares is today for
Yeah.
my brother-in-law, her husband, to take to work every day. This is in 2016, 2017, I believe. I think it
Okay.
was 2016, early 2017. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's 2017, early 2017. And she was making the snack for him to take to work, and she was loving it. He wanted to crush his sugar cravings in the afternoon and keep him full. And she was like, I
Okay.
could make healthy. That's a chocolate bar still. Instead of having the high sugar chocolate, you could have this. And he took it for a long time to his office and everyone loved it.
Yeah.
And it was just a hobby snack for a while until 2018. My sister and brother-in-law wanted to work on a business together. She ended up closing her business and he ended up
Okay.
selling his company. And they looked at food because food was both their passions. And they basically found a report that showed that dark chocolate was growing year over year and that plant-based proteins were also growing year over year. And my brother-in-law, being a software engineer and a data guy, was like, oh my God, Leslie, you're making a baby of these two massive growth categories. That's what we're going to launch. And they basically went on for the next 8 months to commercialize the product and then approached me with this idea saying, hey, we've got this chocolate bar. We call it a functional chocolate bar. We need you to be our third founder to come in and blow up the brand and build it. And I looked at them and I said, guys, like, this is going to be so difficult. This is going against the giants in the space. And it's
Wow.
also saturated and it's also limited space in grocery stores. How do
Okay.
you win? And they're like, well, we have a great product. Number one, we have product market fit because the data is showing that. Number two, your job is to figure out how to make people feel something and build community. And if we have those two things, community and product market fit, we might be able to win. So we
Right.
so we started together on this journey. We launched the business August 2018 with the idea that we were hand making these bars by from 5 a.m. till 5 p.m. every single day.
Wow.
And we were hand delivering them from 5 p.m. till 10 p.m. because we couldn't afford shipping. And at the same time, we were documenting and sharing everything on social media so that the consumer could see how hard it is to make this business, and you could see the success and the failures
Yeah.
in real time of the company. That way you see a glass window of the entire business. You don't just see, here's the product, here's the perfection. No, you get to see the imperfection and the
Yeah.
hardships in the business. And next thing you know, it just started taking off. And fast forward 5.5 years to today, we've built a fully automated chocolate factory here in Montreal, Canada, where it was custom because no one wanted to make our products. No one was able to make our products the way we wanted, so we had to build it. We've sold over 35 million chocolate bars to date. We're one of the
Wow.
fastest growing, functional snacks in the set, in both Canada and the United States. And, we're a team of 50 plus people. And the idea is we want to take over the space. We want to be one of the biggest functional chocolate snacking companies in the world.
That's awesome. And I don't want to overemphasize the success without really speaking to the idea that it took everything
Yeah.
to get here. And entrepreneurs, we're all starry-eyed. It's like, I've got this great idea and it's going to be amazing. And you've got to be your own cheerleader. But Midday's story is one of resilience and unshakable determination. And the other thing that I feel like you guys have is you have a superpower for turning bad situations into marketing gold. One big example that hit the news feeds, I think it was 2021, that whole cease and desist legal notice that you guys got from Hershey for packaging infringement. Now, I know eventually you guys changed your packaging, but you launched this music video. And guys, if you have not seen this, you've got to. It's called Chocolate Gone Crazy. I totally loved it, by the way. And I loved the way that you guys poked fun at the whole thing. But it was such a powerful way to think about it. Now, what I'd love for you to share about that experience, but also how did you guys come up with this idea of flipping the narrative? And then maybe talk about how you guys maintain resilience in the face of bad news and failures, which all entrepreneurs, all of us face every day.
Yeah. So I think that if you want to be an entrepreneur or you are an entrepreneur, you need two things. Three things: unconditional self-belief. So delusional self-belief almost. The ability to withstand an immense amount of pressure and immense amount of resilience and perseverance. Like, if you don't have those three things, it's going to be very hard to win because the odds are stacked tremendously against you as an entrepreneur. Most businesses fail, 90+% fail. So
Yeah.
think about that. You're going into an idea or a career choice where there's such a high failure rate. Like, you got to be insane, right? Something's got to be wrong with you to a certain extent. I'm
Yeah.
missing like 10 screws for sure. But I don't want to go into full details about the whole music video. I think what I want to share with everybody is the lesson that can be applied to all of this. So, yes, we had a cease and desist and we answered back in a creative way with a music video that we put all our energy to, and everyone loved it. Everyone was fired up because it was something different. It was thinking outside the box. It was
Yeah.
not the herd. The herd would have just stayed quiet, did change the package and moved on. We're like, you know
Yeah.
what? We're going to be loud and tell the story and have fun with it, because having fun in life is what people want to be around.
Yeah.
And I pulled that music video, and it blew up and it went viral, and it was so much fun. We got tons of press, all that jazz. But I learned something in university, and something that stayed with me for forever. And it applies to this situation and applies to everything in terms of hardships and moments of, absolute chaos or, carnage, let's call it. And
Hmm.
it goes
Yeah.
like this. It goes like this. If you were given a graph and you were to input into that graph average decisions every single day of your life. So if you as a business leader were making average decisions, you in your career were making average decisions, and you just being at your, home and personal life making average decisions, then statistically, your output on that graph must be a dotted line that's a straight line that goes slightly up. So it's not,
Mm.
it doesn't look bad. If you look at it, it's clean. It's the straight line that goes up. Now, let's take that same graph, okay? And let's now take, instead of making average decisions every day of your life, so, average decisions in your business, average decisions in your personal life, let's now make unaverage decisions. Hence, you just being yourself unapologetically, or you making, decisions that are not following the herd, so not following
Yeah.
the average. So your statistics, your output statistically after that will not be a straight line. It's
Right.
impossible. Statistically, it will be points that are up high and down low, above the line and below the line. And it
Right.
will be zigzag when you connect them. And at first, you look at that and you're like, hell no, I don't want that graph. That's a scary graph. It's too much failure. It's too much losses.
Yeah.
Why would I do that when I could just take that straight line?
Yeah.
That's what most people choose in the world. Now, what I think that we, as risk takers or gamblers of the world, will take the outliers, and I'll take it any day of the week, and I'll tell you why.
Mm.
Because every low point or every failure point in quotation underneath that line is actually an opportunity to learn and grow and make something awesome out of it. That is
Mm.
the opportunity to get to experience resilience at a very deep level. You get the privilege to learn, to experience. And once you look at it like that, then every single low point is actually a win.
Yeah.
So even though we went through the low point of going through a cease and desist and all that stuff, we turned it into a positive.
Yeah.
So you can take your perspective and frame every situation that's bad. And there are going to be a lot of shit situations. There's been a lot more shittier situations that we've gone through than that
Mm.
we've taken and felt. Obviously, it doesn't feel awesome, but we
Right.
felt it and flipped it into a perspective where we can learn and grow from. And every time we've done that, we've had such a high return on what has happened. So if you listen into this podcast, all I need you to take away from this entire podcast is obviously follow your purpose. We know that. But number two is just make unaverage decisions. Don't
Mm.
fold. Nothing great in life came from mediocrity. So stay away from it. Be repelled by it. And even if you're going to fail doing the other way, failure is not a bad thing. Failure
Mm.
is an opportunity to grow if you choose to take that opportunity.
Mm. So good. So good. I love that visual also. And it makes perfect sense. It's like, those connecting points. And I would wager that the points of the highs and the lows, actually the average is higher than if you made those average decisions, because the highs take you higher. Sure, the lows take you low, but they allow you to leap over, and they allow you to jump and leapfrog over certain spaces. So I think it's so powerful. But it brings me to kind of this one question that I just have to ask you before we kind of close out. But yes, there's a lot of failure in entrepreneurship. And you guys as entrepreneurs, you have hurdled through that dreaded 5-year mark that a
Yeah.
third of new businesses in Canada do not make it past. So big kudos and congratulations to you guys, because entrepreneurship is not easy. But now we've got this study from the BDC. They found that entrepreneurship is declining in Canada. We've got 100,000 fewer entrepreneurs than 20 years ago. What's your
Yep.
take on why this is happening?
So it's very sad. This is something close to my home where, like, I think that, my next chapter of life is going to be dedicated to stimulating entrepreneurship in Canada. And I choose Canada
So
because
good.
from here, obviously, and look, we do 30% of our business in Canada, 70% in the US. But
Mm.
US understands capitalism. They actually take the risk part and embrace it for
Yeah.
good or
Yep.
bad, but they embrace it. And I think they do a lot of good with capitalism in terms of, using the risk to build things and
Yeah.
innovate on. Now, Canada has a risk-adverse culture. It's
Yes.
ingrained into Canada. We're nice people, don't get me wrong, but we don't like to take risks, and that's embedded into our systems of society. And what ends
Mm.
up happening is when you look at having a business, you're like, oh, that's risky. I'm not gonna be able to pay bills. I'm not gonna be able to do these things. It's gonna be, a failure, et cetera, et cetera. That's a huge problem. That's number one, is the risk adverse culture needs to change. So you need people that can inspire the change by
Yeah.
basically executing and showing that it's possible to create something meaningful and do it in the authentic way of that individual. Like hopefully Midday Squares will have shown that to Canada, that you can win by being you, and you could win really big, and you could take big risks because they're rewarding, and that failure, if so, is not so bad.
Yeah.
Second is we have a funding problem in Canada, meaning we have a lot of money here, but the funding's not going to early stage companies. And the reason being is because a lot of Canadians that are in the investors world, unfortunately have, again, a risk adverse culture where they're not willing to necessarily take the risk that a lot of the American investors are willing to take or swallow.
Mm.
And what that does is it waits for companies to get to profitability or to get to a stage of where product market fit is completely shown. And what that does is it actually starves some of the innovating companies that aren't necessarily good at raising money,
Yeah.
or aren't profitable right off the bat, or aren't at the scale they need to get to. And what that
Yep.
does is it forces them to find money somewhere else, and sometimes they don't have enough time to, and they end up closing. And then the last thing is we need to create an environment where we as a country want to support entrepreneurship. So government programs, government support. You don't want to have these new taxes that are coming in that are taxing the capital gains. Like,
Sure.
not everyone's mission is to make it, not everyone's purpose is making money. Mine's not. Midday Squares is the purpose I told you before, but a byproduct of the success is capital, right? And that capital allows me to then go invest in future
Yep.
entrepreneurs and then stimulate. So if you're creating a non-incentive to want to make money,
Yeah.
because it's to be taxed, and I'm not against tax, by the way,
Yep.
but what I do tell you is that if you create those, you're going to have a problem, because you're actually going to have these companies, these entrepreneurs, these risk takers just move to the United States,
Hmm.
and that's happening in mass exodus, right? So for us, we need those three things. You need to create a more risk-taking culture, and that starts in the university systems, that starts in high school, that starts in everywhere. Like, you got to get it around us in culture. Number two is to get more funding for early stage companies. And number three, we need to create an environment where we encourage, as a government, entrepreneurship, and give it an environment where it has the infrastructure to go out and thrive. And last but not least, look, I love the United States in terms of doing business. They buy a lot, and I love Canada as well. I just wish that Canada could become more competitive, um,
Mm.
as a country in terms of entrepreneurship, but it's not right now. And I will do everything in my power, as I grow and as I continue to do my mission of life, to help Canadian entrepreneurs succeed. Because I think that without entrepreneurship in a country, small business doesn't exist, and innovation starts to be dried out.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it is a sad state to hear a report like this where they talk about, one of the reasons that they cited, which you touched on, is this idea of, fewer people own businesses. And then demographically, the ones who do own those businesses are retiring, and younger people are choosing security of a job over the risks that are inherent in starting your own business. And I think there's such a huge opportunity for even life growth in the space of entrepreneurship for all of us to take lesson from and grow and thrive and to build one another up and to build the economy. But it starts with risk. It
Yep.
starts with taking that leap. It starts with running with idea, believing in yourself and moving forward. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I think there's so much that needs to be done in this space of entrepreneurship, especially with the next generation, because we do have that demographic shift that's happening.
Yes, this is look, and I'm not here to shit on anyone. My thing is more just we can do better as a society, all of us, and
Yep.
help. We'll be we will be a if we don't have entrepreneurship, it will hurt the country over
Yeah.
time. And there's nothing wrong with not being an entrepreneur, by the way. There's careers are amazing, and without careers, we don't have a country either. So you need both.
Mm.
And no one's better than the other. And I just think that, again, if we could just create a little bit more risk taking in all of our lives, whether it's a
Yeah.
business or personal life, I think you'll see a lot more success in both business and personal lives if we do that. I think this needs to change, and it will take time.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Jake, listen, this has been absolutely awesome. Before we wrap up, though, what two purpose-powered tips would you share that would help leaders and entrepreneurs grow their business and brand?
I think number one, block out all the noise. There's a lot of noise out there. People are going to tell you how to be. People are going to ask you to do this. Trust your gut. Follow your gut. It's not going to be right every time, but it will be right most of the time. It's a subconscious, right?
Yeah.
And that's powerful. We don't even know what the subconscious is. It knows. We have no idea, right? But usually it's right, that from the gut level feeling, right? Number two is when you are not yourself, you are not your best version. When you are yourself, you are your best version. So why would you not want to give yourself the opportunity to be your best version? It's not going to guarantee success, but it will guarantee the best opportunity to become successful.
That's so good. It reminds me of I think it was Oscar Wilde, the quote where he says, be yourself, everyone else is taken.
I like that. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah, you should. Okay, so where can people learn more about you and where can they buy Midday Squares?
So I think they could, to follow me, come on LinkedIn, Jake Karls on LinkedIn, message me, happy to chat. Follow Midday Squares on social media, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We have a lot of fun there at Midday Squares. And then if you want to buy the product, and I hope you do, you could find it in fridges across North America, whether it's Target, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Sobeys, Metro, Walmart Canada, soon hopefully Costco. That would be a big one.
Awesome.
And then many other local mom and pop stores who have built Midday Squares as business, or on our website, www.middaysquares.com. And again, we are located in the refrigerated section. So I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Thank you for having me, Amanda. I really appreciate it. And look, I'm looking forward to continuing to spread purpose. And I hope you are too, and everyone listening.
Oh, thank you so much, Jake. Thank you for sharing your story, your passion, your learnings, your insight. And just in case you have not heard this today, thank you for living and sharing your purpose. The world is made better because you're in it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the Purpose Power Brand Show. I love having these conversations with entrepreneurs. They are definitely my people. I love their energy. I love their insights. I love their drive. And thank you for being here with me. Thanks for sharing this with me. I hope that you learned something new and insightful from Jake. I definitely did. Lots to apply, lots to think about. I loved all that we talked about regarding brand and storytelling and tapping into your authentic self to unlock your brand's superpower, and why it's so important to trust your gut and to take those risks to achieve the growth that you want to see. It's not going to happen by keeping things average and normal. You're going to want to take those risks and step out. So thanks again. Thanks for joining me here today. Keep moving forward, keep building, keep growing, keep sharing your vision, and keep the faith. The world needs entrepreneurs and leaders just like you now more than ever. See you next time. Bye for now.